The Delbert Warthen family lived on the George Orr Place east of Enfield and had been there about 14 years at the time of the storm. Members of the family included Delbert, Maggie, and their 4 children, Louise, age 12, Reba, age 8, Willard, age 6, and Floyd, age 2. The following story of their family's experience in the storm comes from Louise Warthen Metcalf.
On March 18, 1925, Charlie Argo was visiting our home. Mother had popped corn and went out onto the porch with Father and Mr. Argo to see the storm. Mr. Argo believed the storm would miss them and said he was going back inside to eat more popcorn. Reba, Willard, and I attended school at Murdoch, which was dismissed early by the teacher, Snowden Biggerstaff. As he went by our house on horseback, he told us he would see us at school the next day. Mr. Biggerstaff was injured in the storm before he arrived home and later died of his injuries. As the storm got closer, Father told Mother to take the children and get in the bed, and that he and Mr. Argo would hold the door. They were both injured and later died at the Opry House in Enfield on March 20th. Before he died, Mr. Argo said he last saw Father going over the stovepipe. Mother had 2 broken arms and the calf of one leg torn off by a 2x4. Reba had her throat cut and some broken ribs, and Willard had a cut above his upper lip. Mother found them both, and together they were able to lift a timber from a log barn off of Mr. Argo. Mother took Reba and Willard about a mile to Harry Johnson's to get help. She crossed a ditch that 2 men later said was deep enough to get water in their wagon bed, and no one could believe that she crossed it with 2 children. Mother, Reba, and Willard spent the night at the Johnson home, and the next day Mother was taken to the Carmi Infirmary. Floyd was found in a mud hole by Abe Shelton. He had cuts on his face, and his upper teeth were cut out of his gums. Our neighbor Greenland found me on a pile of corn along with a dead horse where the corn crib had been. I had head injuries and the end of one finger cut off. I was taken to the home of Ed and Ruth Hayes, and Ruth gave me the sweetest cherry juice I had ever tasted. Floyd and I joined Mother at the infirmary, and later I caught pneumonia. My Aunt Versie and Cousin Harold were also killed in the tornado. Versie was married to my Uncle Oral, who was Father's brother. Father had several horses before the tornado, but only one, Dolly, remained after. We moved to Enfield in September. Floyd had to have extensive dental work, and Mother would put him on the train to be met in Carmi by Dr. Mary Mead's nurse, Esther. She would take him to the dental office, and after his teeth were worked on, would put him back on the train where Mother would meet him in Enfield. Until he was 10, he had to go quite often. He continued to go until he was 16 or 17, but not quite as often. The summer after the tornado, a storm was coming and saplings were touching the ground. Reba was so scared, she sewed her coat on with carpet wrap. She didn't care if Mother whipped her or what, but she didn't want to be caught without any clothes on again.
Louise Warthen married Charles Metcalf in 1929 and was a member of the Enfield United Methodist Church, where she was active in the church's women's organizations. She passed away on June 15, 1998, and is buried at the Enfield Cemetery. Reba Warthen Lavelle passed away on June 12, 1971, and is buried in Mount Pleasant, Texas. Willard Warthen was a farmer in Enfield and passed away on September 18, 1975. He is also buried at Enfield Cemetery. Floyd Warthen married Pauline Healy on November 22, 1942 in Enfield, and was a lifelong farmer and member of the Enfield United Methodist Church. He passed away June 25, 2008, and is buried at Enfield Cemetery. After Delbert's death, Maggie remarried, first to Ralph Lacefield, who died in 1935. Then she would marry Virgil Davenport. She would live in Phillips Township until her death on October 29, 1968. She is buried with Delbert, her first husband, whose life was lost in the tornado, in Springer Cemetery.